So maybe you're postpartum, or you're nursing, or you're stressed, or you may have just stopped the contraceptive pill, or you have PCOS, you may be having early menopause symptoms. Whatever it is, when you are dealing with irregular cycles, with the exception of the nursing and the postpartum bit, you're going to want to address the hormonal imbalance. However, in the meantime, if you're ovulating, there's an egg to catch, and you can maximize your chances of conceiving despite those irregular cycles. Hello my lovelies, and welcome to another one of my videos in which I'll be giving you a strategy on how to maximize your chances of falling pregnant even though you may have irregular cycles. And there are basically two important things that you need to keep in mind. First of all, you need to understand when your fertile window opens so that you can catch that egg. And secondly, you need to make sure that that egg and the sperm is the best quality it could be whenever that egg does jump. When you have irregular cycles, you can't just say, okay, I've got 28 days and then on day 14 I ovulate. This is when we make love, or a couple of days in advance, and that will get us pregnant right away. When you have irregular cycles, 1 month you may have a really short cycle, or you may frequently have very long cycles, but they vary. And especially if you have long cycles, for example, like with PCOS, you have fewer chances per year of falling pregnant because you will have less eggs that are ovulating. So when you are ovulating, you want to maximize the chance of falling pregnant. You don't want to miss that egg. And you want to make sure that your body is really well nourished so that your cells, including your sex cells, the sperm and the egg, are the best quality that they can be. Now for a video on supplementation for egg quality, I will refer you to a video I've done in the past. It's linked down below. Another suggestion I want to give you is that if you want to improve egg and sperm quality, you may want to look at detoxing heavy metals. And I've got a video on that as well, which again will be in the description and in the cards up here. For this video, our focus will be on finding that fertile window, which is just a lot trickier when your cycles are unpredictable, right? What I'm trying to teach you on this channel is if you want to conceive, you're going to want to make love before you ovulate. After ovulation, your chances are pretty much zero. But how do you know when you're about to ovulate? And this is where charting comes in. And again, I've pointed you towards my free charting course to teach you. I've talked about it in several videos. But that doesn't completely account for when you are having irregular cycles. Yes, the strategy is the same, but some of you get really frustrated with the fact that it's difficult for you to pinpoint when you're ovulating, or that you don't want to chart anymore. And I'm here to encourage you and say, please continue charting. Here's an adapted strategy specifically for you. The first thing you need to remember is that you're not going to ovulate on cycle day 14, right? The second thing is that you should kind of let go of charting in a way, except for when your body is giving you certain signals. I do want you to keep taking your temperature because you're going to want the history, and when you do ovulate, you want to be able to confirm it. But for you, maybe it's better not to have a basal body temperature thermometer, which you need to use every morning and then put in your phone or in an app or write down. Maybe you're going to want a device that measures your temperature overnight. And I would really suggest Temp Drop, which you can wear on your arm, super easy. Then you can upload your information to the app and not worry about your temperature every morning. But when you need the information, you'll be able to access it. So after you have taken a breath and let go of this charting stress, you're going to watch out for the first fertile symptom of your body. After you've had your period, you're going to make sure that you're aware and paying attention to your cervical mucus. Now, usually it will go from dry to sticky to creamy to egg white or watery. This is more or less the direction you're going to want to see it, from dry to watery to preferably egg white cervical mucus. Now, if you have very long cycles, it's possible you're getting several batches of this. So don't take this as a sign that you're ovulating. It is a sign that estrogen is going up and that your body is gearing up towards ovulation. So it means that you know, fertile window is about to open. Pay attention. So as I said, you make note of the quality of your cervical mucus, preferably in an app. You guys may already know I like Kindara. I especially like Fertility Friend. But you can even just write it down in your diary. It doesn't really matter. And then here's the trick. Once you see that you are getting something that looks like egg white or watery discharge, or maybe even the creamy bit that is going into watery or egg white cervical mucus, this is when you start taking your ovulation test. And then I suggest that you don't use the digital ones because it is so much harder for you to see a progression in your LH, your luteinizing hormone. You're going to want to grab the cheap tests. And if you don't know how to use these cheap tests, again, I point you towards my free charting course in which I show you how to use it. But they're the little test strips that have two little lines. You can see the control line and then the test line, and then the test line you can see get darker and darker and darker, which tells you you're getting closer to ovulation. Now, if it's taking a long time, then at least you can see that you aren't quite there yet, but that something is happening. And then when you do see that second line appear quite clearly, I would recommend that you start testing twice a day so that you don't miss your surge. And then I suggest testing mid-morning and testing late afternoon or early evening. Then when you have two equally dark lines, or your test line is darker than your control line, then that is a positive ovulation test telling you that you're about to ovulate. So that is exactly when you don't want to miss making love. But preferably you'll be starting a couple of days before that already. When you are getting the egg white cervical discharge, maybe when it's watery, when you are seeing that the test line is getting darker and darker. And this is where the temperature bit comes in. Because to know if you have ovulated, you want to see 3 temperatures after that positive test or the egg white cervical mucus that are higher than the previous temperatures. And as long as that rise hasn't come, you're going to want to continue making love frequently enough because you don't know if your fertile window has closed yet. And that's it. Isn't that a lot easier than maybe you thought and less daunting? The charting bit should help you. It shouldn't be another chore that is driving you nuts. And as I said, if you aren't charting yet, this is really the time to get started. And you can get started with my free course. And if you are charting and you want to understand why you are perhaps getting these irregular cycles, I recommend that you check out my chart interpretation course, which will help you pinpoint what hormone imbalance may be playing a role so that you can start addressing the root issue. I just wanted to mention something else as well though. With irregular cycles, it's not necessarily the case that you're always getting long cycles. It may be that you're getting super short cycles as well. And to help you not get your hopes up about conceiving, keep in mind that if you notice that you have ovulated like day 8, 9, or 10, that the chance of you conceiving that cycle is very, very, very minimal because your egg and your lining haven't had the chance to mature properly. I've got a video on early and late ovulation, and if you want to know more about ovulation or watch those 2 videos, then make sure to click on the playlist on your screen right now. And in the meantime, see you in the next video. Bye!